The Karen Show. The Karen Show. The Karen Show. Let's go. Let's go. The Karen Show.
Hello, 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 everybody. About time I showed my face, isn't it? So here's me, and I'm just muting that. There we go. Here's Enzo back. I think everyone's probably missed Enzo more than they've missed me. But there you go. So we're here. Hello, Tanya. Hi, Carla. I think you're it for the minute. Oh, and Enzo. Yeah, I thought I wondered what I'd come back with. I was going to tell you all about my trip to Vietnam and all that sort of thing. And
I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that first, I suppose, and then if people come in relation to what I'm actually going to present, then I'll talk about that in a minute. So Tanya, I'm interested to know what it was. Your sister who went, I think, wasn't it? Someone you know was in Vietnam the week before I was, or the same week. Left the week I arrived, I think. Hello, Virginia City, Sadie, Kristen. A culture shock is Vietnam. I went to. You've never been anywhere there, have you? Enzo?
No, I've been to Korea and Japan, but I've never made it to any of the other Far Eastern places. Well,
Yeah,
out around the Pacific, a couple of places, Guam and Philippines and stuff like that.
Look, later on I'll put up a little for members only thing, because I do have my faithful people. I'll just put up a little collage of photographs and videos while I was there. But when I arrived, that was a nightmare. So I left Australia. Well, I didn't leave Australia. I got to the airport with my visa, right? Get to the check-in for the flight, because it's international. Obviously, you can't check in online. So get to the check-in. The guy looks at my passport, looks at my visa, and says, the visa isn't valid. And I went, what? And he goes, it hasn't got your middle name on it. I reckon it's a scam. But anyway, I said, what do you mean? I said, I don't understand. He goes, it has to be your name on your visa, has to be exactly the same as your name on your passport. You'll have to go down to the flight centre and get a new visa. And I'm like, my flight takes off in 2 hours. He goes, you'll be right. They'll do it for you within 5 minutes. Right? I thought, fantastic. Oh, look at that, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya. So I went down to the flight centre, which here in Australia, it's like a travel agent thing, Enzo, but they've got a little office in the airport. So I went down and said, hey, there's an issue. The visa only cost me $30 Australian. And she said, oh, yeah, she said, I can do that for you. $760.
What?
Australia. Yeah. And I went, what? And she said, and I said, and that's the visa.
Printed out in like human blood or something?
Oh, my God. And she said, hi, Erwin. And she said, no. She said, the visa, it's not she said, it's a visa letter. So she said, you pay for the visa, you arrive in Vietnam, you take this letter, someone will meet you at the airport, they'll take you through to where the visas are given out, and they'll give you that visa. So what I had was like a letter saying I had paid, fix this. So I arrive at the airport, there's someone holding a sign.
So if you hadn't done that, would you have arrived in Vietnam and had to pay $700?
No, they wouldn't let me on. No, they wouldn't let me on the plane.
But I mean, if it had been correct.
Oh, no. Well, if it had been correct, I'd be on the plane and no one would have stopped me.
$760 just to put your little name in there.
Yep. And so I get there, get to Vietnam, get off the plane, and it was an overnight flight, so I was a bit knackered because you can't sleep on a plane. But anyway, I get there, the fellow meets me with a sign, come with me, he says. There was a bit of a language barrier. He spoke broken English. He said, now that was I think I arrived at 6. He said, we should have it ready for you in 5 hours. I went, what? 5 hours, myself and 3 other Australians for 5 hours, because it happened to 3 others as well. Same thing, missing middle name. And we're sitting there talking. I said, this sounds like a scam. Like, this really does sound like a scam, because that $700 odd I paid goes toward a new visa, which are $30 Australian with the government, with the Vietnamese government. And then also this obviously pays this fellow to greet us and take our passports through and fix it up. And I said, because when I put in I'm very careful. I know I filled in the details correctly. I know I did. I do. That I know it's important to have your middle. I know. So, yeah, I wasn't impressed. But anyway, 5 hours later, I left the airport, got a cab to the first disappointment, which was the hotel. People, when you book a hotel in Vietnam, don't go by the photographs, go by the description. Okay, you know what people say about the place. So, hey, Jonathan. So anyway, get to the hotel. A bit of a culture shock even in the cab from the airport to the hotel, because the traffic is mental. Like, it's not like America, it's not like Australia, it's not like England. It's crazy. There's motorbikes going everywhere, cutting everyone off, and I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, get to the hotel. The people are beautiful. The Vietnamese people, love them. They're so cute.
Oh yeah.
They're so I ordered deluxe suite that looked beautiful. In the pictures, it had like bamboo and plants and a balcony with a beautiful view. Well, when I say a beautiful view, a view of the city. Get up to my room. I actually went back down to reception and said, did you put me in the right room? Like, I paid for the deluxe thing. And she goes, oh, yeah, that's the right room. So I went back up to the room, and it was a big room, but it was a bed, a sink, a little mini fridge with nothing in it, just a fridge, and the toilet and I should have taken photos and I never did. The toilet and bathroom, it was really skinny. Like, when I say skinny, like skinny. So when you walked into the bathroom, and if you wanted to sit on the toilet seat actually was only about that far away from the wall, so forward facing. So when you sat on the toilet, you had to sit a bit askew. Otherwise, oh my God,
a big guy like me would have problems.
You would have had problems, right? And look, to spare you all the terrible, basically, Erwin, basically that's the case. And the view from the balcony, I didn't want to even walk out on the balcony, because when you pulled the curtains back, they had a washing machine there. It is what it is, all right? But it was disappointing because it was nothing like the description on bookings.com. The balcony looked, well, I didn't want to walk out on it. I was worried it might crumble. A lot of the buildings around there don't look terribly solid, you know.
Not very structurally sound, you're saying.
Yeah. So anyway, what can I say? So that was terrible. But I put up with it.
Kind of normal though for anywhere you go. When the brochure looks great or the website looks fantastic. Like I've gone to Vegas before. It's like, hey, I'm getting a good deal in this room. I'm right on the strip, but my room is not on the strip side. It's on like the back side where you get to see the seedy drug deals going on in the parking lot behind the casino on the non-strip side.
Well, there was no seedy drug deals, but yeah. So look, long story short, I put up with it for about a week and a half, and then I just couldn't do it. Well, actually, it wasn't even a week and a half, a week. I couldn't do it, so I found the Ibis in near the airport, and I just booked out and I went to Ibis. At least they had room service, they had a nice restaurant, a buffet breakfast. It was civilized. I don't know what else to say.
Is the Ibis another hotel? Is that what the name?
An Ibis is a brand. I don't know. I don't think there's any in Australians, and I think New Zealanders. Tanya probably knows the Ibis is a chain of hotels, kind of like Holiday Inn and stuff like that.
Oh.
So you know, it was. I walked in and I went, oh. It had a nice soft bed with a lovely doona, or I don't know what you call it, quilt, whatever, a bed cover. It had a nice mini bar with cold water, tea and coffee. The bathroom was lovely, like it was all nice. And I went, oh.
There was space between the edge of the toilet.
Yes. Yeah. So that was good. And I went to, it's so weird. So in America, when I was in America, obviously I had friends take me to the stores and everything, but you've got your Walmart, you've got your big stores, you've got little stores. It's like Australia, just big, okay? England, the same. I knew where to navigate to find things to look at. Do you know what I mean? Vietnam's not the same. Vietnam, I couldn't, where I was, no matter where I was, be it in the little hotel that was a disaster or the Ibis, there's no walking on the footpath. There's a footpath, but the footpaths are taken up by little stores. So the Vietnamese people, I learned a lot while I was there. There is no, if you don't have a job in Vietnam, you don't eat. The bad luck. There's no government. So we're very, very lucky in our countries that if you haven't got anything, the government helps you out. Not in Vietnam. The most the government will do in Vietnam is there's little stores around the street, like a hot dog wagon. It looks like a hot dog wagon, but they sell lottery tickets. That is how the government helps people, the elderly or whatever. You're actually buying lottery tickets from the government. So you buy a lottery ticket with the hope that you might win something, and that money goes to the government, but the government also pays you to sell them. So that's how some people make a living because they're really old or whatever. Yeah, Erwin, I know it sounds terrible, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I know it sounds terrible. I have no interest in going back. Let me just put it that way.
No.
Yeah, and it's not because of the people. The people are lovely. It's just it wasn't a holiday to me. It was like a dodge 'em. It was kind of like I couldn't walk on the footpath. So you could walk for a little bit on the footpath, and you had to step on the road. But when you step on the road, you really got to look around because there's all these little motorbikes, and they stop for nobody. Like you'll get, and the taxi driver told me 30 people a day in Vietnam are in accidents with the motorbike, like 30 people a day in Ho Chi Minh City. I learned that you don't call it Ho Chi Minh City, you call it Saigon. The people who live there call it Saigon because Ho Chi Minh City harkens back to the communist days. So, and it still is communist. But like a mix. It was an eye-opener. And as I say, I learned a lot. Like I went out, I got to meet monkeys. I didn't put it on YouTube though. I think I only put it on my Facebook. I'll put it up on YouTube later. I can't remember if I did or not.
I don't know what that is.
What's that? Yeah. But yeah, I went to a place called Monkey Island, or I went for a day trip, right? And nobody else went. It was just me, and because I picked a weekday, I guess. I don't know what it was, but the guide picked me up. He said, "It's just you today." And then, so it was just me and the guy. Hang on a second. Were the mobiles scary?
She corrected it to monkeys.
The monkeys. No, the monkeys are cute. I'll tell you more about them in a second. That's where I'm going with this. So anyway, guy picks me up, and it took 40 minutes to get out of Saigon, and we went on a ferry. So we got to the end of Saigon, or Ho Chi Minh City. We got to one side. You get on a ferry because there's been a bridge getting built there to take you from one side to the other, but it's been getting built for 10 years and it's still not finished. So they still utilize a ferry. So the cars all get on the ferry, go across to the other side, you get off. Once you're off on the other side and you drive for about 5 minutes, it's beautiful. It's what I think Vietnam would look like. It's all like green, and it just looks like what I imagine Vietnam would look like. Where and there's little people wearing their pointy hats, and it's beautiful. And I thought, well, I guess because most of them live in the city. And then we went out. He took me onto a speedboat that took me out into the middle of nowhere. And there was a little lady who lived in her house, and she, those little, I'll put pictures up later, but the little rowboat, the pointy-ended rowboat where they stand up and they, with the paddle in the water. So I sat in that and they took me through. It was so quiet. There were bats hanging in the tree. It was beautiful. That part was beautiful. And then he took me, because I said I want to meet the monkeys. So he took me to a crocodile farm where the monkeys were supposed to be, but they weren't there. But I fed a crocodile. I've never done that before. And then I had lunch. The lunch was beautiful. Like, the food's great. And then he took me to the monkeys. But so he said, look, I'll take you where I know they are, which was an old army base, a Viet Cong, is that how you say it? Army base back in the day, and that's where all the monkeys were. So he took me in there, and that's where I met the monkeys, and they were so cute. And I'll put video up of it later. You wouldn't mess with them because they've got teeth. So sure, if you did something stupid, if you did something stupid, you're going to lose. Like,
so
that's going to rip your face off.
Like these guys. This is in Japan.
Yeah, like that. They're like that. Oh, they were so cute, and they were drinking out of bottles. Yeah,
this is the Awatakuna Monkey Center in Japan.
Yeah,
live shot.
Well, except these ones had long tails, so they were long-tailed monkeys.
I don't think any of these.
I'm just trying to see. Hang on, let me see if I can bring it. I might have. I think I've freaking deleted it though. If I put it on my Facebook. Hang on a second. Karen will learn to use her technology a little better. Hang on. Let's see. Karen, that's me. Come on. I'll just show you the monkeys I met. Why? Yeah. If I can find it, eh? Why is that doing that? I want to go to my page. I've shared so much stuff. Where have I put it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. All right. How do I do this? Wait a minute. I'll probably get done for. I'll have to mute it because I'll get done for using that music, won't I? All right. So it's muted and present share screen. There we go. Oh my God. All right. I think you can see. All right.
Yes, we can see it.
So that's the base. That's the that's a little monkey. Look at him. And he was using the bottle. And you should I don't know. He was right. No, I was sitting on the ground in front of him. See, he was so cute. And then there was all these little monkeys ran up to me. Look at him. Look at him. Oh my God, I love him. Oh, it was just, that's a mama. Can you see the baby on her tummy? She was a bit worried, I think, because of the baby. But yeah, you'll just see the little baby on her tummy. Yeah. And then I was just like, oh my God. There it is. I took a better picture. And then he took me up here, and there was all these monkeys here are girls with their babies. See? And they were telling me that they've got all those girls. There's one boy monkey, the one I was talking to, the one that I was sitting in front of, has 30 wives. And that's some of his wives and his babies. I just thought, oh, my God, it's so cute. I was in heaven. if I had have died that day, I would have made my day. It was just
you were trying to figure out how to squish one into your bag, take home.
I was. But yeah, look how they drink the bottle. See, they use their little. It was so cute. He went crook at me though. See there, he's eating, and I point. You'll see me point to the food on the ground, but he thought I was going to take it, and he went crook at me. See, I pointed it, and he looked at me. And he went ah. It was so funny. But yeah, I had fun. It was really, really cool. So I recommend the monkeys. I do. There we go. So that was the monkeys.
Monkeys good, hotels bad.
Are there any animals you don't like? I don't think there are. I don't think there are any animals I don't like. I'm not a fan of some animals. Like, I love foxes, but I'm not a fan of what foxes do to cattle and sheep. And so, do you know what I mean? I'm not a fan. Same as cats. I love cats, but I'm not a fan of what cats do to the wildlife. But that's the owner's fault for letting their cats run around outside. So, bad luck, I guess. What was that? Looks like me falling out of a pub at 2. Oh, the little monkey with the bottle. Oh, I love the monkey. Yeah, but they were really cute. The fellow, hi Ash, the fellow who was showing me had a slingshot in his pocket. And he goes, and I said to him, I got told that the monkeys would jump all over me, and he said they would, but he pointed at his pocket. He said, but they know what this is. And I went, oh, so if he hadn't have been with me, I actually they would have all jumped on top of me
Just
and
stolen
stuff. Yeah, they would have stolen. They would have wanted food, but they would have stolen everything. Hi, Julie. So that was, yeah, that was interesting. I went to the tunnels. Oh my God, Enzo, I'll have to do a thing on it one day. So yeah, so that was the end. That was sort of the end of the day. Then they took me back and I came back to the hotel. I walked around and caught, I wanted to go to like a shopping mall. Oh, their shopping malls are different. They don't have shops like we have. Like, they don't. No stores like we have. Possibly, I was in Ho Chi Minh, so I don't know what all the other places are like. But Saigon itself, it's not like. So I said to the girls, do you have a shopping mall like where there's a supermarket so I could go and buy some snacks and, you know, like a equivalent to Walmart or some other stores? Oh, yes, ma'am. So they got me in a taxi and told the taxi where to take me. And it was a huge mall. Their supermarket was 3 levels high.
Wow.
And yeah, but really so different, really different. And I don't know. It was a culture shock. It was kind of like completely different. Not horrible, just not what I thought. Like, I thought they'd have a mall like we have here where I could go and look at, but they don't. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what to say. It wasn't horrible. It was just not for me. I'm a spoiled.
Yeah. If you had a proper home there, an apartment or something like that, could you live there?
No. I could live. No. Well, see, that's the other thing I didn't know. History lesson, people, for those of you that don't know. Now, I did obviously know about the Vietnam War. If you know anything about history, well, what did that happen? In Vietnam, they do not call it the Vietnam War. They call it the American War. And I said, oh, and then I smiled. I said, okay. And he said, because it's the Americans that did what they did to us. He said, we were fighting quite happily with the other side. And the Americans come in to save the day. He said, but the Americans came in and destroyed us. And they showed me pictures. So where those monkeys were in my video, that they showed me pictures of that. and they showed me pictures of before the Vietnam War, and it was huge, huge trees, big forest, like still rainforesty, tropical, but huge. They showed me pictures during the war and then after the war. After the war, after Agent Orange and napalm annihilated, flat as a tack, everything was dead. Everything. And it was really, really sad. Like, and I said, so, and the monkeys had been there. They had, all sorts of wildlife, not just human life was lost, like everything. All the trees, all the ability for animals to eat and feed, like gone. And it's what, 50, how many years are we now? Well, how old am I? God, how many years since the Vietnam War, since the 60s? So 50 odd years.
60s, so.
And there's still Agent Orange there that they can't get rid of, that they're trying to get rid of. But they, and he said, and it took so long to get help because the Americans wouldn't admit that there was anything, like Dow, who sold the Agent Orange.
And to be fair, they say the same thing to the military people that were spreading. Them the same stuff. So.
Yep, they are here too in Australia. It was the same thing when our boys came home affected by Agent Orange. The government said, bullshit. So, yeah, it took a long time for some sort of justice to take place. But when you see it, when you're there, and then you know that there were places they couldn't take me, he said, I can take you in here, but we can't stay long because it's still in the ground. I went, what? I said, no, don't take me in there.
Yeah.
I won't take risks. But he took me, I went like out of town, so not in Ho Chi Minh, out on the bus tour. I went to the tunnels that they used to use, the tunnel system. I didn't go in the tunnel system. It wasn't for want of not wanting to go in, but physically, I don't think I could have. I took photos. I'll put that up later. It was, you literally had to bend, 45-degree angle over to walk through these tunnels. It was a stinking hot day. It was really humid. It was really hot. And they said it's hotter in the tunnels, which I thought was odd. I thought it'd be cooler. But other people did. The Vietnamese are used to the weather, and back then they were very tiny little people. He's already said that. He said back then that's why the Vietnamese could get. He said we were little. He said, and they'd been working in the tunnels for a long time. So he said they were little, they could get around and get into it, not a worry. So that's why Westerners, he said they've actually opened up the tunnels, like dug them out more so Westerners can come in and see.
Fatso's another one.
Yeah, fatso's in other words. See, Kristen? Yeah. And so did a lot of other people. And they're still dying from it in Vietnam. And that's where they took me. They took me to a place. So the Vietnamese government, it's the people affected by Agent Orange that they do support. But I believe, I'd have to look into it, from what I understand, the American government used to assist monetarily with that. But I think that's stopped, which is a shame because America are the ones that bombed the joint and did that. They should continue to support until that's all cleaned up. But I could be wrong. They may well still, they may well still do it. But that wasn't the impression I got. But they've got a community, and so that community is Agent Orange affected peoples from all ages. So they're not allowed to have children because the children are born with deformities still. They're all sick. Some of them don't have limbs, or it was friggin' terrible. And I felt really sad. Like I thought, I mean, I knew, I've heard it, but until you see it, it doesn't hit you. Sorry, my phone's making noises. So that was an eye opener. And it was really interesting speaking to the locals and getting it straight from them as to how the country was affected and still is. It's not a rich country by any stretch of the imagination. All of the people work hard, and you see old ladies, like really old ladies on the roadside sitting selling bananas and fruit and cold drinks to the tourists. If they don't do that, they don't eat, they won't have anywhere to live. He said family does support. Families do support the elderly. And I said to him, well, what happens if you have no family, though? If something happens? And he shrugged. He goes, bad luck. I'm like,
Jeez.
and he said, but he said, we all try to help each other. So there are good people. They're lovely people. And but it was absolutely an eye-opener. There were a lot of young kids there. I met a few young kids on some bus tours and stuff. When I say young, early 20s, mid-20s, really enjoying it. But they were there for a different reason. Like, their idea of a holiday is very different to mine. So my idea of a holiday is seeing sights and learning the history, but also having a nice hotel and a good meal at the end of the day. If I knew, like, if someone, for example, I would love to go into the deepest, darkest parts of the Amazon with someone who knew where they were going. If I knew that's what I was going to do, that's different. Like, I could do that. I'd go, right, I need protection from mosquitoes. Food will be prepared. I'm going to sleep at rough in a tent. Like, you're mentally prepared, but I wasn't mentally prepared. So there you go. It's just, let's see. I'm missing I'm really sorry about that, Kristen, but you more than anyone knows, therefore, how soldiers, when they came back in your country and mine, were just dismissed. Like, oh, you're full of it. There's nothing wrong with you. Dow says there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, well, they got sued, didn't they? Let's see. Tanya's complaining about sun. Tanya, come here and I'll tell you, it's a huge orange ball in the sky. It gives off heat and lights. Summer can't be over already. Although I did see someone in London yesterday or something. It was raining, but that's not a shock, is it? What's Dee telling us? Bendigo had a strange light over it last week too, but it was a suspected UFO even on the news.
Tell me more.
Where do I find that story? Hang on, let's see if I can. Let's see. I'd still put UFO Bendigo 2025. Let's see if anything comes up. Oh, here we go. Kangaroo Flat. Let's have a look at what it says here. Drone, plane, or UFO. Strange night light leaves Golden Square man stumped. Oh, where's the story? Oh, it's one of them things now. I can't read the freaking story without.
Yeah.
Doesn't that annoy you? All right.
Yes.
Yes. Bendigo advertiser. Can I read it there without thingo? Let's have a look. Assholes, you'll have to tell us more, because without me spending money to read their story, stuff it. If you know anything about it, Dee, put a link. If you can find the story, you've probably got more time to look for it, Dee. If you're not on your phone, if you're on a computer, okay, yeah. But there you go. But I don't believe in all that crap anymore either. I'm so tainted now from everything. Paranormal, UFOs, with everything the government does, I trust nobody.
Yeah. There's been a lot of that in the UFO side. Just yesterday, the Wall Street Journal dropped a nuke on the UFO side, and everybody's screaming about it right now. So,
what did they say?
Basically, they the short version, and again, it's one of those things. It's the Wall Street Journal, so if you want to read the whole article, you got to pay to see it.
Got to pay for it, yeah.
Unless you have alternate places you can go, which I did. And the full story, basically, it's they ran this kind of lightly fact-based story about how they're basically, the view is that all of these stories going around in the government about some secret agency that has UFO, has flying saucers, and they're trying to backwards engineer it, are all fake because of a hazing stunt from like 30 years ago that
Well,
apparently is still going on today, where people would get read into, a new officer would come into, this military group that is dealing with all classified stuff. And supposedly, according to this story, the last thing they're handed is a picture, a photograph of a flying saucer. They're like, just so you know, everything you're doing is to backward engineer one of these that we've caught, but you cannot mention it ever again. You can't tell anyone. Which was supposed to be like the hazing. I've done hazing things. It had happened to me when I was younger. I've done it to other people as this light joke. The whole premise of a hazing type incident is the point where you point and laugh at the guy for being silly,
and then
for
you let him know.
yeah,
You let him go
standing
for
out
a
there
minute
trying to,
and then laugh
yeah.
at him. Yeah.
Apparently that part didn't come into it, according to the Wall Street Journal, to where generations of people would cycle through these different classified projects, and they'd always end it with a picture of a flying saucer saying, yeah, we're backward engineering this, but you can't tell anyone, and don't even, when you leave here, don't talk about it to anyone ever, not even us. So there had these horrified people that have been sitting on this for like 20, 30 years. And a couple of years ago, when the Arrow office was like, okay, if anybody wants to come forward and tell me about the thing, they had a bunch of people that came in with that story, supposedly. And they're trying to say that that's all the stories. Everybody that has this story of a backwards engineering UFO kind of a thing, it's because of that. It's like, wait a minute. If I was read into that, if I was in that place and I got that thrown in front of me, at some point doing my regular job after that, I'd be like, all about this UFO shit. I don't care. You told me I can't go on it. This has nothing to do with that, what I'm doing. Because that would be the normal fall. And that would be the point where like, nah, we're just messing with you, because that wasn't real. That was fake. But it never came, because they put this threat level basically of you can't talk about it. And here's an NDA saying you can't talk about it and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So they didn't. And then they never told them it was a joke.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I think that's a load of shit too. But I think thank you, Laura. I don't know. I'm over it. And I would and look, I think even Joe Rogan is over it, because he was talking to, I've forgotten now. I've been watching him a lot. He's had some good guests on lately. I think it was AJ from the Y-Files. I'm pretty sure he was talking to, and he said that was fantastic. If anyone hasn't seen it, Joe Rogan talking to AJ from the Y-Files, that was really good. He could have him on every week. I reckon that would be good.
I know, it was great. It was like, why does it have to stop? After
it was really good. But I'm pretty sure it was him, someone he spoke to, and he goes, he said he's got a feeling that the people that he's had, including pilots, etc., he's got a feeling they're fucking with him, basically telling him stuff that
I think like the story from the Wall Street Journal I was talking about. I do feel like there's circular reporting of this guy, this Washington DC insider, here's like that story that, well, I know a guy that he was sworn to secrecy, that everything his project had to do was backward engineering this thing, and then they tell somebody, then that person says, oh, I know a guy, he's really high up in the end, and he believes that he's been told that, and it's like the telephone game where it just gets worse and worse every time it's told. and it dates back to a prank.
Yeah.
That doesn't
And look,
fly with
and
me. That's
also by now, let's all stop and think for a minute and be a little common sense. If America or any other country for that matter, if any other country or America had things that flew like that, are you telling me that by now they wouldn't have used them to scare the absolute shit out of somebody? And even they could bullshit about the capabilities, but are you telling me that they wouldn't have used it by now? I don't think so. I think by now they would have utilized it because
right.
they could scare people into behaving themselves. Like, hey, look at what we've got, and guess what? They're armed. So up to you. So are there such thing as UFOs? Well, yes, because that means an unidentified flying
Yeah,
object,
we don't know
which
what it is.
means that you don't know what it is. Are the little green men and aliens? I don't know anymore. I like to believe there are, but do I think they come from outer space? Nah, if they come from anywhere, it's probably the ocean. And that's about the end of it. I've had enough.
Yeah.
I'll bye, Jonathan. I'll catch up with you soon. Have a lovely day. And hello, Taylor and Julie, I see you. Yeah, so I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, my trip to Vietnam was interesting. I learnt a lot. If you're interested in history of the American War, as they refer to it, and now I understand why they do it, um, um, uh, sure. And if you're prepared to like a lot of people are okay with a culture shock like that. I'm not. I just like to go on a holiday and relax. And so not for me. And I like to be able to walk safely on a footpath and not worry about getting mowed over by someone on a motorbike.
That's too bad. I'm sad that that wasn't something that
But
you
it was
wanted to
just
do again.
it doesn't mean that like you could go tomorrow and think it's fantastic, and a lot of people there did. It's not that it was horrible. It was just not for me, but I can say I've been there. But having said that, also, if in the future there was an organised trip, like I could probably go back there not by myself, like in an organised group where you're staying in particular hotels and they're taking you to particular areas out of the city of interest. But yeah, I don't know. I've been spoiled. I'm just spoiled. I'm just a spoiled brat. I like comfort. I like to be comfortable. And
You
yeah,
want
so
to
I don't
stick to
know.
those westernized countries.
Yeah, I know. I'm horrible, aren't I? I feel horrible, but the people were beautiful. Absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
absolutely true. For whatever strange reason, because I live just outside of Wichita, Kansas, and for whatever reason, there's a large population of Vietnamese immigrants that have settled here. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a Vietnamese restaurant in Wichita, which
Mm.
may
Oh,
also serve dead cat, but that's a no. Yeah, but
yeah,
but
yeah,
they're all
yeah,
great. And
yeah.
yeah, you go. There's nowhere you can go in town, or any of the businesses, or even the company. You know, because there's a lot of aircraft businesses, manufacturing in this town, and those guys are all over the place, and they're great.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
right,
still,
right,
even
the
though
food was good. I did learn because I asked while I was there. So in certain parts, and this isn't a joke, this is true, because I asked, in certain parts of Saigon, the poor, like, I don't know if it's the poorer parts, I don't know, but in some parts that you wouldn't necessarily go to, they have meat on a skewer that you can eat off it's rat.
I believe it.
It is. It's rat on a skewer.
I
And then
would, I would,
I said, you don't still eat dogs, do you? And the guy looked at me. He said, not here. He said, further up north, yes. And I went, really? And he said, yeah, yeah. He said, still North Vietnam, dogs and cats.
yeah,
And I
cats
went,
is actually you'll find more cats on the menu than you will dogs. I've I was tricked during one of
oh,
my adventures into
yeah.
having a kitty on a stick, is what the locals called it. But I'm glad to say I didn't like it. I was eating it and I was like, so what is this again? Chicken? And I was like, looking at like little blobs of fat on the meat. It's like, this ain't from no bird. There's no way. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm just joking.
but yeah, and look, I knew someone who went to China, going back probably 10 years ago now, and went to the market, one of the markets where the dogs, and it's not nice. They're not just kept in a cage and then they shoot them in the head or something. They beat them to death. So you pick the dog. If there's two ways to do it, either meat's already done, or you pick the dog, and they beat the thing to death. And the story I heard is the poor dog, because of what dogs are, they don't understand, and they come back because they think, well, how can I please you? So they beat the dog to death. They terrorize it, because in terrorizing the meat, in terrorizing the animal, it apparently makes the meat taste better. I'm like, I would much rather die of starvation than do that. I just would. It was horrible. But anyway, that's the end of that. So yeah, onto my subject matter for today. I thought I was I can't remember. I was going through my I've got a treasure, what I call a treasure box, so boxes with my memories and things in. And I pulled out a book that I read when I was about 20, so 42 years ago. So I've got a book, and it's called, it's Errol Flynn's biography, My Wicked, Wicked Ways. I don't know if anyone's ever read it. The book, not, I think they made a stupid movie, but don't watch the movie. So I pulled that out, and I had fond memories of reading that. And I love Errol Flynn. Like, I absolutely loved Errol Flynn movies when I was a kid growing up, and especially too because Errol Flynn's Australian. He was born in Tassie, because he was born in Tasmania. Yeah, he was born in Tasmania, and his dad. Hang on, I'll tell you in a minute. His dad was a professor of archaeology, I think. I'll tell you in a minute. A marine biologist, he was. Theodore Flynn was Errol's dad, and he was a marine biologist and professor. He was born in New South Wales, Australia. He later became a respected academic, lecturing at University of Tasmania and the Queen's University in Belfast, Ireland. So there you go. That's actually where he died. So Errol's dad died in Ireland while he was still working. And his mum was born in Sydney, and she was described as a glamorous, adventurous woman who influenced Errol's charisma, but had a strained relationship with her son due to her disapproval of his lifestyle. But it's interesting too, because Errol died when he was 50 years old, and I look at pictures of him when he was a good-looking man, Errol Flynn. Like, he was a beautiful-looking man, but he drank too much. It was the alcohol that killed him, and it did. Like, they did an autopsy on his body, and they said that was from years of just alcohol abuse. But I remember watching a movie with him, and what was the actress's name in the Tiffany movie, the Breakfast at Tiffany's? Beautiful woman.
Yeah, she was amazing.
Flynn movie. Oh my God, what was your name? Audrey. I think it was Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, I think it was. Was it that one? Oh no, it wasn't then. It wasn't Audrey then. Errol Flynn's last movie. It was his last movie. Errol Flynn's. I wasn't going to talk about this, but it just came to mind. So I was just going to mention it because Errol was good friends. Drew Barrymore, right? Her grandpa was John Barrymore. And for those who do know about Hollywood, old Hollywood, you will know who John Barrymore was. But if you don't know old Hollywood, then you will not. No, that wasn't it either. So John Barrymore was also an alcoholic, very much so. They all drank bloody crap all the way back then. And I'm just trying to find Why can't I find that? Oh, they've done stupid things with this. Doesn't matter. I'm trying to find the movie I'm talking about. But Errol's one of the last movies I remember watching Errol in. He would have been, well, now that I know he died at 50, probably this movie was about 45. But he was, he was not fit. He wasn't old Errol. He looked in his 70s, late 60s. And that's how he looked. But that was the alcohol. But he played a John Barrymore character. So he based the character he based on his friend, John Barrymore, Drew Barrymore's grandpa. But yeah, Errol Flynn, I don't know. Is there anybody who doesn't know who Errol Flynn is? I don't know. He wasn't he, Taylor? He really was. Hang on, I won't play the sound because I don't want to. I could play a bit of the sound. I don't like getting hit with bloody, what do you call it? Copyright. Oh, they do it to me. Yeah, they do it to me every time, and I'm thinking I'm doing it the right way. Hang on, I'll see. So there's Errol. These are just bloopers, so I can play it in a little bit. But for those of you who don't know, that's Errol there, obviously with his mustache. They're just. But he was a good-looking. I suppose you don't need to hear the sound.
Chances? What's all the emergency about? Just had a baby in the ladies' room.
I don't know if you heard that or not. That was Betty Davis.
I'm a physician. I'm a surgeon. God damn it.
Robin Hood.
Oh, yep.
Now then, Brian, let's waste no more time. We'll take the shortcut across the street. Come. I won't. God damn it, I won't. Oh, God damn it. Start over again. Take your time. Start over again, Bob. You seem to have spilled your drink.
I like that they still have like that they kept the bloopers.
Mark. Mr. President, Mr. McComb.
How do you do, Mr. President? A pleasure indeed, sir. Jesus Christ, Annie, you handle that cigar like a monkey handles a coconut. Mr. President.
But yeah, so Errol Flynn, quite the character, and I read his book, and a lot of people, it's since been debunked, but idiots said he was a Nazi and a spy and all this sort of bullshit. He wasn't. He really wasn't. But he had a life. Like, so when he was 18, so he was Australian born, his family, he was born in Tassie, then they moved up, or was he born in Sydney? No, he was born in Tasmania, I'm sure. And then they moved up to Sydney later, and he went to some pretty posh schools because his mum and dad, were okay, well off. But he got expelled from school, and there was a story behind that. I think he took he was a womanizer. His dad was too, apparently, but he took some lady's jewelry or something, and he got into big trouble. And then he scampered. He left Australia and he went to New Guinea. When he was 18, he went up to New Guinea and he got a job. He was gold prospecting and working on a tobacco farm, doing all this sort of stuff. And if you want a really good read, find his book, My Wicked Ways, or Wicked. What did I say? I said it when I got in, but anyway, find his book, and it is like, and his life was far more interesting than anything he played on screen. Absolutely. His actual life, he was like so many adventures. And what didn't stop in New Guinea, they went to Europe. Him and a mate back in the day falsified passports because you could, to get into different countries. He fought in a war that wasn't even his to fight. Like, he did a whole heap of stuff. And then I think he was in London when someone saw him and said, come to America, come to Hollywood. You do well in Hollywood. And then obviously that's what he did, and he became a movie star. But yeah, even in his book, he says, look, I'm not a good man. He said, I've done some really bad things. He said, but I don't regret any of them. Like, oh, well, you know, he's lived life to his fullest. And one of his quotes was something along the lines of, any man who dies with more than $10,000 in his pocket has not lived. Like, you're a fool. Because he died penniless. He died penniless, and he was.
Can't take it with you, sure.
Well, I think that was his attitude. I'm sure that he kicked himself for some of the choices he made that led to him not being able to live the high life as he was used to. He died in Canada. Oh, I can't remember what town now. It'll come back to me. But he died in Canada. He had a heart attack. He had a teenage girlfriend at the time. And, you know, he was Errol Flynn. What can I say? But his house stood for a long time up on Mulholland Drive. So when he did make all of his money, he built this house, right? And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because people like to talk about the ghosties and things. But his house was well known for he'd have parties there all the time. So he was very much he also had a casino there. So he had his house. I'll show where is a picture of the house? Hang on. I'll see if I can find it. He had excuse me. Where am I? Present. I'm so good at sharing things, aren't I? One day I'll be a professional.
You're out of practice.
I'm out of practice, yeah. Why can't I? Bugger off. Hang on, cancel it. I'll find it on here, and then I'll share it. Hang on a second. I know I've got a picture. Where have I put it? Oh my God, I'm as useless as anything. It's disappeared. Oh no, where's it gone? Is that the one? Is that the one? No, bear with me. I actually made something for you all to look at, and for the life of me, why is it not here? I bet you it's on my laptop and it hasn't come over here. It should have though.
It's this place that's in the background picture, right?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hey, yeah. But it's all right. I wanted to show you the little video, and I've just found it. So hang on. So I'll get to it. So he had the house built, right? And he had a casino built as well. So he had his main house, which was like a 2-story building. I'll show it to you soon. And then off the main house, he built a casino, and that's where he would have his big parties, not in the house. He'd invite women to his home, like he entertained ladies in his home, but where he had his parties was in this building that was like a casino. And he was well known for his parties back then. So one of the famous stories about he was friends with Charlie Chaplin, Alan Ladd, who was, Gilligan's Island, the skipper. Alan Ladd, Alan Ladd was
Alan Hale.
Alan Hale, thank you. Alan Hale, Senior, was
Alan Ladd. That's Match, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he probably knew Alan Ladd too. He did. He knew them all.
Did.
So they'd all go to his parties, but in particular, Alan Hale's dad was best friends with Errol, right? But they'd have these massive parties, and John Barrymore was also one of Errol's best friends. Well, when John died, they were very upset because it was sudden. And so what they all did, Errol, Alan, and I can't remember who else, got together and said, let's go to the mortuary and get John. So they went to the morgue. They got John's body. They brought it back to Errol's house, sat him in a chair, gave him a cigar and a drink, and they, partied. Just the group of them with
Did he
John's
handle it like a monkey handles a coconut?
Yeah, that was funny. So they that's a famous story. So they took part place in the house.
Wow.
And then they did take his body back to the morgue. They returned him before anyone, but that is a famous story. So, and the other thing, of course, is that Errol had tunnels and secret passageways and peepholes and
mirrors and
two-way mirrors, mirror in his bed. Look, lots of people are a bit like that and put mirrors on their ceiling. Personally, the last thing I want to look at in the morning is my face in a mirror or anything else. But people did that. So he was very notorious. He was also notorious for being well endowed. Apparently, there's a story goes that he once showed up to a Halloween party dressed as a hot dog. But not full body hot dog. Like that's how he showed up. There's a famous story about that because he could. So I don't know if that, but that's his famous story. I don't know if that's absolutely 100% true, but I have heard that story a lot of times. So he was a character. He was an Aussie, and people used to think he was Irish, and he didn't never corrected them. He just couldn't be bothered. But yeah, he definitely wasn't Irish. But it's sort of sad that he passed away when he did, and his mum and dad. His mum died in 1970 here in Australia, and yeah, his dad died in 68. But his dad was in Ireland at the time teaching. But Errol wasn't a stupid man. Very clever man, but just naughty. Very, very naughty. Oh, hey, Heather. Sorry. Oh, you may just listen to me yabber on, Heather. That's fine by me. But yeah, so I just thought I'd show you this, and I'll get as I'm going if I don't lose my place and I don't wander off in another direction. So Errol owned the house, right? And he owned it up until his death. I don't know who was living in it when he wasn't, but it was still his property. When he died, there was a country singer. Oh God, what was your name? Hang on a second. I've gone blank. He was a radio cowboy type person. And just a second. I'll tell you his name in a minute. Stuart Hamblin was his name. So Hamblin, he was a radio cowboy. He purchased the house after Errol died, and he lived in it with his family up until I think when he died, because he died in 79. So after he passed away, so there was Errol built it, Hamlin lived in it with his family. When he passed away, it got sold to Ricky Nelson, and not Willie Nelson. People, I have had people go, Willie Nelson, that ugly man with the Ricky Nelson. Okay. So Ricky Nelson purchased the home. He lived there with his family, with his kids. And I found, and I put it together because I thought, surely they're not going to hit me with a copyright for this. But I is this the one I made? I'll show you.
Let me ask you about where you're living now. Yep. I guess you moved out of Mom and Dad's place. Yeah.
I'll play this for you. So those of you who don't know, Ricky Nelson, there used to be a show. Leave It to Beaver. There was an old show in the 50s Ricky Nelson used to be on, and he was a heartthrob, so he was around about the same time as Elvis. So when Elvis was big, Ricky was becoming a bit of a heartthrob as well. And now Ricky Nelson had some kids. One of his daughters was an actress, and he's got his two boys that were twins that were singers, the Nelson twins or something. Anyway, but he lived in the house. He never told any ghost stories. He never said the house was haunted. His kids did. But this is an old interview I found of him. I spliced it and diced it. This is him telling you about the house. So I shall make sure I've got the sound turned up. That'd be helpful. There he is. Share. He was a good-looking man, but there you go. So this is Ricky telling you about the house.
Good head of hair.
He did have. Oh, I've lost his name. I'll start it again. There we go.
Let me ask you about where you're living now. I guess you moved out of mom and dad's place. Yeah. And is this possible that you purchased a home owned by Errol Flynn?
Yeah, well, it was a house that he built off of, right overlooking Hollywood, or the valley. Right? No, it's, I know he built it around, I think, 1938 or 9, something like that. And it's kind of interesting because my dad used to play tennis up there at his house, And my mom said, I know when it was in escrow and stuff, it was his favorite house, And I hadn't realized that, But it's got a real good feeling, and it's got a lot of
colorful life. Do you have any
a lot of mirrors.
the mirrors? Are there? Where would like on the medicine chest mirrors there? Or?
No, there's a mirror over the bed.
That's unusual.
For
Are
Errol
there
Flynn.
secret passages or any of that?
There are, yeah. It's a room now, but it used to be a sun deck, and he used to have a little hole there. He'd look into the living room to be able to see who was there.
So he always had a pretty good idea of folks coming and going.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the plan of the house. I was trying to get rid of that, but it was a nice shape. Like the picture, when you look at the picture up the top there, you can't quite tell, but the sides of the the sides of the house here and here come out. They're what's on this plan down the bottom. So it was pretty big, and off of that house was the casino, which I haven't been able to access. I'm sure they exist somewhere, but I haven't been able to access any photos of the casino. But yeah, no, Tanya, I do not. But use your imagination. Erwin wants some. Hi, Kasara. So that was Ricky telling the story of the house, and he lived in it not a long time, because he got it in 1980, and unfortunately Ricky was killed in a plane crash in 1985. So that story in itself is a different story. There were Ricky's career. He was quite big in the 60s, around the time of Elvis. He had a big hit. I don't know, I won't play it because I'll get copyright hit, but Garden Party was one of his bigger hits. I'll try. I don't want to try
music and movies. I was just looking at his movies. He was in Rio Bravo with John Wayne.
Yeah, and he was
in the Army with
he was a big star back in the day.
Yeah,
and
Ozzie and Harriet. Yeah,
Ozzie and Harriet. That's the name of the show. Yeah. Ozzie and Harriet. He was a big star. And actually, I was watching while I was in Vietnam. At the night time, I was binge watching The Hardy Boys with David Cassidy and Parker Stevenson. And an episode come up with Ricky Nelson in it, and he was singing Garden Party. I went to a garden party. Everyone was there. Da, 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 da. Do, 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 do. That's all I'll do. You're lucky you'd have gotten that from me. But he was singing that, and I went, oh, Ricky. And the funny thing, the premise of that particular episode was that Ricky Nelson's manager had done something to the aeroplane which would have caused it to crash. But the Hardy Boys came to the rescue, and it didn't crash, and they saved the day. But it made me feel sad, because that was probably made not long before he actually had a plane crash. So the plane that he owned, that Ricky owned, now I'm going by memory, so I could be off a little bit. So a lot of things I do remember. I'm pretty sure the plane used to belong to Johnny Cash. It might have been another country singer, but I think it was Johnny Cash. So he purchased the plane. So it was a secondhand plane anyway. It had some issues, but they think that there was something at the front of the plane that caught fire. I think like some kind of heating thing or whatever caught fire. The plane crashed. The pilots got out but were severely burned. They did live, the two pilots, because when they crashed, they could get out through the front. Unfortunately, Ricky, his then girlfriend, because he divorced, his then girlfriend, Helen, himself and his bandmates all perished. They died in the fire. So rumours were rumours, and since debunked. Rumours were, oh, they were freebasing cocaine and they were taking drugs, and that's what caused the fire. No, it was an older plane. Something happened. That's what caused the fire. But did they know the plane was on fire? Did they try to escape? Of course they did. They just couldn't, and they perished and died in the plane crash. So that was really sad. And I can remember when that happened. Like, I actually remember when he died and thought, oh, another one, bloody plane crashes. And that was sad because he was only 45 when that happened.
Really?
And then the house sold. I think it sat empty for a couple of years, just a couple, and they ended up selling the house to a real estate developer. And since then, I've heard two stories. The actual story I heard was the house was demolished and they've rebuilt and they've broken the land up because it was a farm. It was a big property, so they've broken it up and developed it. The other story I heard was they took a portion of the home, Errol's home, and put it somewhere else on the property, but I've not been able to verify that. I think they probably just demolished the whole thing. And then so far as ghost stories, I haven't been able to verify that. Everything I learned was that the house was demolished, and then they did what they do with estates and stuff. The only thing left was the gates. That's all I know. Now, the actual hauntings of the house, the only stories, now the cowboy who lived in it, the singing cowboy, apparently made mention of strange things happening in the house, but nothing spooky. I mean, they lived there for a long time, just noises or whatever they might hear. But now I'm just going to go down. There's a couple of things. So I'm just trying to, so Ricky, his daughter told a couple of stories. There used to be a TV show. I'll see if I can, hang on, let me see if I can find the name of the TV show. There used to be a TV show where they would talk about celebrities and haunted places. And I remember seeing his daughter on there talking about it. Let me see. I did make notes. Here we go. His daughter was Tracy Nelson. She was an actress too, but she wasn't. She never got. She was in different stuff. But she said that I'll just read it. Tracy said that she frequently felt a presence in the house and described hearing sounds of glass breaking and furniture being smashed, only to find everything untouched the next morning. She also saw a male figure in the dining room one night, initially mistaking it for her father, but no one was there. These incidents were so frequent that Ricky Nelson casually remarked, that's just Errol. So whenever Tracy would say, Daddy, I saw such and such, or Daddy, he'd go, that's just Errol. So I would say Ricky never saw a thing and just thought it's kids' imagination. Now, having said that, it's very interesting because when Tracy told stories of the haunting, that's as far as she ever got. But when they made that TV program, she actually told a couple of, in my opinion, of porcupines, because she said that she made them sound worse and sinister. And she said that a fire took place, the house burnt down. And I remember that. I remember her talking about, and I'm thinking, did the house catch fire? I don't remember that. Did it? There was a fire on the property, but it was contained pretty quickly and it never burnt the house down. But that people kind of think that she probably, because of the nature of the television program she was on, and she's probably just embellished the stories to make it haunting, So everyone else never had any bad, like they didn't say it was bad juju. It was just like odd things would happen. One of his sons, Gunnar Nelson, said that he woke up one night to Errol Flynn sitting on the end of his bed. So Errol was definitely seen, according to the stories, in the house, raising glasses of champagne and things like that. What do I think about that? Well, it could be just stories, but like I've said before, if you were given an option to haunt something and not go to heaven, where would you go? You'd go to the place that held the fondest memories and the best times. And that's why I think if Errol did haunt the house, I could believe it, because that would have been probably some of the best years of his life.
Oh, yeah,
spent,
heyday. Yeah.
you know. And then there's the author. So the kids saw things. There was an author of a book, Robert Matson. He co-wrote Errol Flynn Slept Here, which is another book. But he told a story in 87, so this is a year before the house was knocked down. He saw a ghostly male figure in Flynn's bedroom, in the window, while the house was locked and abandoned after Nelson's death. And other people, including the Hamblin family members, which is the singing cowboy, as I said, they had some slight encounters, but nothing, you know. Everyone thinks it was probably Errol Flynn. But Tracy Nelson also said that there was an angry woman, that she'd often see an angry woman. Now, the only angry woman I could think of would have been one of Errol's first wives. She was a Spitfire. She was Spanish, I think. Her first name started with L. It passes me at the minute, but she was a handful. So it could be her, but I don't know if she ever lived in that house. And then I'm just getting, hang on.
Leela Demita?
That's it. Yeah, she was a Spitfire. She was, woof, I think he regretted marrying her. But back in the day too, they got married so quickly. Like it just seemed that they would marry so quickly. But yeah, so, you know, and then it says here, Helen Hunt built a new home on the site in 1997 and later sold it to Justin Timberlake in 2002. So I knew Justin Timberlake had a house where that Errol's house used to live. So that's interesting. So yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting that so many different people said things happened, but it'd be things like breaking glass, furniture moving, sightings of someone in a window. With the kids, it was more, with the boys in particular, there was nothing. And there is an interview with Gunnar where he talks about it, but nothing terrible. The only person who said it was scary and foreboding was the daughter, Tracy. Now, she was older than her brothers, but it's interesting that she's the only one who tells a spooky story and says things about the house burning down when it didn't burn down. So that's what I mean. There probably are true stories, or maybe she was just more sensitive than the rest. But I'll go with what Ricky said, that it's just Errol, and he wasn't worried about it, right? So I don't know, but it's an interesting story, and it's sad too, because then you've got Ricky Nelson, who passed away while still owning the house, and you sometimes wonder, I don't know that he would have gone back to that house, but then if he had fond memories, maybe. But he had an interesting life too, so it's sort of sad. What have you got there, Enzo? Oh, that's his wife, yeah.
Leela Demita and Errol Flynn at some kind of tennis championship is all it says, but near Los Angeles. Just thought I'd share since we were talking about it.
Yeah, he yeah.
Love the big swooping hat. That looks great.
Yes, actually, Taylor would like that hat.
Taylor would love that.
What was that? Tanya Universal. Wow, that's lovely. That is. Hello, Debbie. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's got any questions. I've got a head full of information because Errol Flynn I'm a big fan of, and Ricky Nelson I was a big fan of. I put in the description for this episode, when you leave or when you look at it, I put a link to a documentary that was made on Errol Flynn. I haven't watched it completely, but it was it was narrated by one of the actors that knew him and had worked with him. I've gone blank. Not Christopher Lee. Struth. It doesn't matter, but an actor that worked with him, and that was showing footage of. There's actually when you listen to it, you hear Errol. Audio of Errol talking to a crowd of people and saying, "I can tell," and I'll watch how I say it. I suppose, mind you, I've dropped the F-bomb a few times, but he says the word "fucked." He goes, "I might as well tell you now, nothing to hide." He said, "When I was about 12, I actually fucked a duck." And I've gone, "My
What?
God, Errol!" Yeah, that's exactly what he says. So he must have got a duck and. And I'm thinking, oh my God. But yeah, I'll have to go and watch that. But that's in the, if you want to have a bit of a learn more about Errol Flynn and whatever. But yeah, so far as him being a Nazi and a spy and all that sort of thing, no. And of course, there was the stories that go along with Errol, and he had a yacht. Sirocco. Sirocco was the name of his yacht. He had a yacht, and he used, poor duck. But he went.
I'm sorry. The thing you're talking about, it's called Tasmanian Devil: The Fast and Furious Life of Errol Flynn.
Yes, I think that's it. Yeah.
Narrated by the late great Christopher Lee.
Oh, it was Christopher Lee. Oh, there you go. I don't know why I said it wasn't Christopher Lee. Narrated because he had worked with Errol. So there you go. Apparently nearly lost his finger in a swashbuckling incident. And Taylor approved the hat. The hat? Offer. Yeah, it could be. Certainly, there's a few phrases that have come, in like Flynn, all that sort of thing. But where was I? I've forgotten now. I've forgotten what I was talking about. I was going somewhere. But lots of rumours and things about him. Oh, the Sirocco. I'm pretty sure that was the name of his yacht. He loved sailing. He ended up having to sell that because he lost a lot of money. But he also loved sailing with the ladies. So there were, I believe, either two girls or one, but I think it was two. He was sailing, and a couple of young ladies come along with him on the boat, both who to him looked of age. And there was a famous big court case where the girls turned up because he got accused of statuary are, where they're underage. And he fought that because they may well have been underage, but to him, they presented as being young women. And when the girls showed up, or one of them showed up to court, she showed up in pigtails and, no makeup and looking like a kid. And he's like, oh, well, that's not what she looked like when I met her at wherever he met her. The outcome of that was, I believe, nothing happened, but it did. That was the beginning of the end of his career, unfortunately. I guess the Hollywood moguls couldn't do anything to sweep that under the rug. They were pretty good at fixing most things, but I think, so that kind of was the downfall. Up until then, he was like huge. And Taylor knows the movie was made about Virginia City. In fact, I think Taylor, it was called Virginia City. Yes, it was. And they had the premiere for the Virginia City movie in Virginia City. So I watched a few clips of that. That's cute. That's cute. What's that? I've been researching the deep and web. I'll throw my spare laptop in the wood chipper.
It's kind of where all electronics that go venture into that area, you're just better off.
Yeah. He was huge. He was. So the rumours. I don't think they were rumours. There was David Niven. It was David Niven who told the story about the hot dog. That's where I heard the story. David Niven and he were also good mates. It was David Niven that I saw in an interview with somebody who could have been the Dinah Shore show, something like that, because I go back a long way, people, and I used to love watching talk shows, and I love old Hollywood. I just love it. I wish it was still like it was then. where you just knew nothing about your movie stars other than what you saw on the big screen. That's it. But yeah, David Niven told the story about the hot dog costume. But there you go. But yeah, so I just thought I'd talk about that and remember Ricky Nelson, like, because he was awesome. I really liked Ricky Nelson, and it was interesting that you know, Errol's life wasn't, maybe if he had had a different, not drank so much, you know, lived differently, he may have ended up having a different outcome. But he's a bit of a legend now if you talk about Errol Flynn. And a lot of people, maybe not as much as used to, but a lot of people know who Errol Flynn is, or at least heard the name. And yeah, you know, I don't know. I just think it's important sometimes to talk about stories. And I don't know if the house was haunted, but if it was, I can understand why it was. And it's a pity they knock all these beautiful old Hollywood homes down to build up monstrosities.
Yeah, I know.
You know, but even the oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, sometimes it does come down to just being able to run electrical appliances from today in some of those older places where they're just not wired to handle, you know, microwave ovens and things like that just pull a lot of juice. And it's cheaper to knock them down and build something new.
I'll find it. Sorry, I'm trying to deal with my computer. It shouldn't be. Oh, there you are, Taylor. Yeah, I found some old footage the other day too. Is that the one where they're? Oh, that's Jane Wyman. Hang on, Taylor. Taylor's sent me a picture. Hang on. Oh, you're at the Sudrow Tunnel today, and you're tired. Where is it? Errol Flynn and Humphrey Bogart in Virginia City. Why can't I see Errol Flynn in the picture? Oh, am I blind? I can see Humphrey Bogart. I can't see Errol Flynn because that's not Errol Flynn. Where's? I'll show everybody what I'm looking at.
Errol's the one in the hot dog costume.
Yeah. That looks like they're probably at Tahoe. That I sent some footage to Taylor. You can see here that's obviously Humphrey Bogart. I can't see Errol
on the right.
Nope, that's not Errol.
The cowboy boots?
Nope, that's not Errol. I can't. He was there though with them all. There's footage of them all playing in the snow and stuff. So you know, there you go. But yeah, there's footage which I did send to Taylor, and it had a little bit of them on the train going to Virginia City, and it had a lot of them at Lake Tahoe. So they obviously went to Lake Tahoe for a little bit of fun and games. No, I would not order anything from the dark web. God knows what you'd get from there. Bugger that. I think people want a death wish. I don't know. I don't want someone from the dark web knowing my address. What should be illegal, Taylor? The dark web? I think so. But yeah, so I don't know. That's a little. If anyone's got any questions, let me know. Other than would I order a mystery box from the dark web?
Well, on Mulholland Drive there in LA, aren't there several other mansions that also have been reported as haunted along that stretch of road?
I don't know. You tell me. Probably because well, but the thing is, Errol's land. His was a farm, so it wasn't just where the house was. He had a big like it was a huge amount of land. So his house got knocked down. And the house that got built was the one where Justin Timberlake lives. I don't know if he still lives in it, but it got built. And as I read before, Helen Hunt. So it was Helen Hunt's house got built there on the land where the house stood. So I don't know. No one. I've never heard anyone could research more into that. I was, but I've never heard anyone tell stories of since. But given the, but what have you found?
There's a tale about Robert Downey Jr.'s mansion that he had for a little while that he ended up selling because out of the things you would expect in a haunted house, a lot of the creaking doors and the doors flipping open and a lot of whispering with that one. When especially going out onto like the big balcony area that looked over the big backyard area. Jack Nicholson had a place up there on Mulholland that also reportedly had some haunted activity in it. I think there was a couple others, but
well, it's interesting though. When I was there, my friend Scott Michaels took me for a drive around the hills. I never asked to go up there, and I don't know why I didn't ask. But he took me up past where Valentino's house used to stand. The only thing that's still standing of Valentino's house are the stables. And he showed me around there. And because of how it's very interesting, like also there's a fellow, David Oman, that lives on Cielo Drive. His house is, there's something weird with his house, whether I believe, I don't believe, or whatever. Something, that place is mental. So I'm wondering if there's something in particular, and I've heard it said actually that in particular that area of Hollywood, the hills, be it native Indian land from back in the day.
There's that, and there was also back in like the 50s, 60s era, that wrote Mulholland, which basically, if you've ever seen any kind of movie that takes place in Los Angeles, there's always like a view of Los Angeles where you see the valley floor all spread out. You can see the grids of lights and all that stuff. That's taken from up there in Mulholland, up there in the foothills around Los Angeles. And that road, it's a very long, winding road. It has certain long stretches. And in the 50s, 60s, were very popular for street racing. And there were a lot of horrific deaths. Associated with that as well.
And that's what I mean. If in that area of Hollywood, I mean, so many things. The Hollywood sign, suicides off of that, going all the way back to I think the early 30s with one particular actress who threw herself from the Hollywood sign. So I'm asking my friend Grok a question.
Oh, good old Grok.
Yeah, good old Grok. Do you know what? Grok's scary. I'll tell you why in a minute. No, there were orders. G asked me a question. That's all. No, it's all
I don't
good.
think it reached up that far. No.
Yeah, Mulholland Drive was fine. There were issues ordered and stuff, but no, everything was fine up in that. There was only a few Hollywood actors, I believe, that lost their homes, but Mulholland Drive was spared in those recent fires. But yeah, I just think when you do a little bit, when you know the history of Hollywood and you know the history of the area before it was Hollywood, and Los Angeles, and the Mexicans and the war and fight, like it's a very intricate history. So that land, although very valuable, has a history. So hauntings could be just about in any home. Even the house Madonna purchased that used to belong to Bugsy Siegel. He was killed in it. Bugsy Siegel was shot and died in that house. So she doesn't own that anymore, but she owned it for a little while. That's said to be haunted by Bugsy Siegel. So you wonder, then you've got houses that still stand. The Wonderland murders, the John Holmes, the porn star, who went in and murdered a lot. Well, not just him. He went in with a group of people, and there was a bit. They made a movie about that called Wonderland. I think Val Kilmer played John Holmes. So that was a murder up there in the hills.
He also wore the hot dog costume.
You've also got you've also got the Manson murders, the LaBiancas and Sharon Tate, all up there, all up in the Hollywood Hills. Further out in the Hollywood Hills, there were more. Like, if you want to do research on murders in Hollywood, you could probably fill a book. Like, it's serial killers. The serial killers that were around in Hollywood in the 70s and 80s, like, it's got a massive history. So it wouldn't surprise me if just about every house in Hollywood was haunted. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just that some in particular have got, like, the Mulholland Drive farm where Errol used to live. It's because I guess Errol was notorious, and because people were, I guess when you think about Errol lived in the house, he passed away. It was a heart attack, nothing, just that he died young. And then you've got Ricky Nelson, who lived in Errol's house, who died young. They're really the only connections with sad stories. And so you can link things in however you like. You can make things fit your narrative. So if I wanted to say the whole of Mulholland Drive was haunted, I guess I could. and because maybe it is, because all of those houses are on land that was owned by, like, he owned a big lot of that. I'd have to research to know who else owned houses near him. For a long time, the original Errol Flynn gates were there. I don't know if they still are. I should Google that. But there you go. Yeah, you stay away from the Hollywood Hills too. Although I went to the Hollywood Hills, I can say I've been to the Hollywood Hills. And I've got an invite from David, who lives in Cielo Drive. He said if I'm ever in America again, I should come and visit him in Cielo Drive. So I will. He owns that house. Have you heard about that house? The one in Cielo Drive? David Orman is his name. And the Sharon Tate, the Manson murders, the Sharon Tate murders took place at the end of Cielo Drive. And David built a house in Cielo Drive, which is about, I want to say, 3 houses down, roughly, from the gates that lead into the Sharon Tate, the house, which is no longer there. They demolished that and built a great big mansion. But ever since he built his home, even while it was being built, he had issues, and he still does. And there's a few hi Kevin, there's a few famous people. Hang on a second. Oh yes, I should look into that one. I know the one you're talking about.
I was typing in Elkie Summer, and it automatically auto-filled in haunted house, which I clicked on, and there's at least a dozen different videos talking about it.
Yep. Well, if you can find anything and want to share it, we can pause it as we go so we don't get hit with the copyright. Yes, Elkie Summer, that was a famous haunting in the Hollywood Hills. But anyway, David. So David built this house with his dad, and you will see any number. There's a multitude of people that have gone to do ghost hunting in his house. I've seen some of the evidence, David's evidence. I've seen evidence from ghost people. Ghost Adventures went there. Ghost Hunters went there. I note that Ghost Hunters didn't have any nice words to say about David. In fact, I remember seeing an interview with Jason Hawes, and now this is going from memory, this is not verbatim, but someone asked him about the house that David built, and he said that although odd things happened there, he felt that it was all about David wanting to sell a book. And I thought, well, yeah, you might not like somebody, and he may well have had a book coming out, but you still caught shit. Like, you still caught some strange, odd things happening in his house. So, right. But everyone knows I'm not a huge fan of Hawes anyway. but yeah, so I don't know, many people have gone there and investigated, and I've seen footage, and there's definitely something weird about the house. Now, what is it? Is it ghosts, or is it something to do, like we've just been discussing, with the generalized land of the area? Because there's so many places in that area that odd things happen and bad things have happened, murders and all sorts. So it's very interesting, but yeah, it's just interesting. What's Taylor telling me? How do you say that, I wonder? How would you pronounce that word?
Doheny?
It'll be an Irish name, I reckon. Doheny. But, well, anyway, I don't know about those murders. I'll have to look that up, Taylor. See, you should have come on, but you're too tired. I'll have to have a look. Well, probably. And like even, I was watching something the other day, the boys that are trying to get out of prison now that killed their parents. I've forgotten, two brothers, they shot and killed their parents. What are their names? They're trying to get out of prison now. Someone, come on, someone. I've gone blank.
Right on my tongue, too. I don't remember.
It starts with M. Menendez, the brothers. The Menendez brothers. Now, their house is currently, or might be finished now, was being literally, the outside the house was being left, but the inside was being completely sort of redone. And I saw a video with Caitlin, you know, the guy, OJ's, Cato's his name. He was at the OJ Simpson trial and whatnot, the blonde guy. I saw a video of him, and they talked to some guys going into that house, and the guys that were going into the house said the people that work there overnight time don't like weird things happen. And you think to yourself, well, think of how horrific that murder was, those two boys shooting their parents the way they did, regardless of the reasons that they say they did it, still reasonably horrific. Like, their parents didn't die straight away. It was awful, absolutely awful. So, as we've discussed before, I think houses hold energy, kind of like the walls can talk. So whether it be ghosts of the departed,
theory, yeah,
you know, or whether it's just that energy that's pumped out at the time of their death somehow sinks into the house, and that's what you can pick up on. So it's all interesting. So I think, and I wonder too if people that live in homes that have had the, like, I don't think I could move into a house that had had a horrific murder take place. For example, when I lived down in Victoria, there was a murder took place in the town that I was living in, and it was pretty horrific. A son killed his mum and dad in a horrific way, very much Menendez, all right, a freaking axe and a shotgun, and horrific. And I still don't know the outcome of that. I guess he's in jail. But anyway, my point is that house went up for sale. Someone purchased it, but I know that it had to be the concrete, because it was concrete floor, because of the blood and everything that had soaked through to, like, you can only remove so much. The walls were plastered in blood, like it was a crime scene. So I kind of wonder what kind of person I couldn't. If I knew that a horrific murder had taken place where I'm going to sit on my lounge chair,
yeah,
or I don't think I could.
Especially to go in and it's like half-ass clean. You can clearly see where there's blood stains and stuff like that. No,
yeah. Like there's cleaning services that's their job. So I dare say the cleaning service came in, cleaned it. They would have ripped up the carpet. Painters would have come in and painted the walls. But there's no way you're getting that blood stain out the concrete. You could bleach it. You could do whatever you want, but it's still going to be stained. So new carpets would have been, like, it would have been, you know, unseeable, so to speak. But I just think I had the job with my then partner. We were asked by the family to go and maintain the garden and it was shortly after the that it had taken place. And I knew what had taken place there. It didn't bother me too much, but I will say this, and this is me saying, I don't believe. No, not Erman. I can speak. Not Erman. Aaron. But yeah, I would get on the ride-on mower. I loved the ride-on mowers. I could mow lawns all day if it was on the ride-on mower. And when I would get down to, I didn't know where the murders had taken place. I just knew that they had taken place. And when I got down to the particular end of the house near where their water tanks were, I don't know. I just couldn't wait to turn the mower around and go up the other end. Turns out that that where I felt a bit strange, like one murder took place in the kitchen, but the other took place in that area of the house. So I don't know. I didn't know where that had taken place. So do I think there was a ghost there? No, but do I think that maybe the house and the mortar and the bricks, like, I can't explain that. So there's a paranormal thing, but I don't know what that was. Could have just been me freaking myself out, maybe, although I wasn't really thinking about that. It's just I did feel uncomfortable at that end of the house when I would mow. I didn't like going near that room, and turns out that that's where the dad had lost his life. But yeah, I don't know. Kevin, you're going to sit down ready to read a good book and you're going to go, what you reading? Yeah. It's funny though, you know, I often say this, if I lived in an old house, like really old house, like something like, well, Taylor will know what I'm saying. In Virginia City, all of the houses there are pretty old, right? If I lived in an old house, there is 100% guarantee that at one point someone died in one. Like it would just be, because that's how it was back in the day. People got sick and were nursed and oftentimes passed away in their own home. That doesn't bother me. I think it's just more the horrific murders, like the terror and the energy that would have been expelled by those people at the time of their death, which I think that is the energy I wouldn't want to take the risk of feeling. I don't want that. But if I lived in an old house and I heard a voice, hello, it's me, I'm your friendly ghost, I'd think, well, okay, I can learn to live with you because it's company. I know someone's here with me. But then I'd probably think, am I going insane? Like, I have so many feelings now about all of this that it's, you know, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think I could live in a haunted house. What about you?
I don't know. It would certainly be because I've done my you know a 2 or 3 Scooby-Doo house type investigations.
Oh yeah, investigation.
And the one big one, of course, is like I couldn't sleep, not because I was scared that something creepy was going to come out of the walls or whatever. It was just all the banging and knocking and obviously the sound that like someone's running up and down the stairs and running up and down the hallways and all that stuff when there's nobody there. It's just like, all right, I just want to get a few hours of sleep. Leave me be for a few minutes.
Yeah, well, that'd be true. Oh, Benedict Canyon. There you go again. I just looked up Elkie Summer with the help of my good friend Grok. Oh, yeah, I've got to tell you about Grok in a minute. So the location of the haunting was in Benedict Canyon. Again, we're going back to the same canyon where all these horrific murders and all this sort of crap have taken place. So Elkie Summer. Okay.
The geology of that canyon that's driving people crazy.
Yeah, there's something. So the house was at 2,633 Benedict Canyon, and the haunting centered primarily on the dining room, but extended to other areas of the house. Key incidences include a middle-aged man described as husky, broad-shouldered, with thinning hair and a bulbous potato nose was seen multiple times. Bulbous potato. He wore dark slacks, a white shirt, and a black tie. Guests, including a German journalist, Edith Darfield, reported seeing him standing in the dining room doorway staring. When approached, he vanished. Summer's mother, visiting from Yugoslavia, saw a strange man staring at her while she slept in a downstairs bedroom. Now, I wouldn't like that. Other guests, unaware of the haunting, reported seeing a man in the dining room or near the swimming pool, including one instance where a guest saw a man staring intently at the house from the poolside. Unexplained sounds. Loud noises such as chairs scraping or banging in the dining room at night. And then apparently they recorded some of the sounds on tape, which captured chair movements, and even when there was no one present. The sounds resumed after the investigation and returned, and the sounds resumed after he investigated and returned to bed. So even though he'd investigated, taped the sounds, he's gone back to bed and the sounds have kept going. Mysterious knocking on the couple's bedroom door was reported, with no one found upon investigation. Physical phenomenon. A mysterious fire broke out in the dining room one night, forcing Elke and her husband to escape through a bedroom window. This was predicted by one of the psychics who investigated the house. Objects reportedly moved without explanation, though specific details are less documented. The psychological impact was the guests who reported feeling uneasy, feeling creepy feelings in the dining room that raised the hair on their neck. A psychic researcher from UCLA brought to the house without prior knowledge of the haunting reportedly felt sick upon arrival and described the property as unsettling. And then they've got, what I feel about psychics and mediums. But they've got a whole different lot of people that have been there to investigate. After the fire and ongoing disturbances, Summer and Hymans moved out permanently, with some sources citing 1968 as the end of their stay. They later divorced but reportedly remained on good terms. So there is a documentation. Hang on, there's a story of the haunted house of Elke Summer, and then there's a book, The Day I Gave Up the Ghost. Some question whether the haunting was a publicity stunt, given Summer's rising fame and different media connections. However, the involvement of independent witnesses, psychics, and researchers lends to the credibility of the story. So yeah, it might be BS, which wouldn't surprise me anything. What's Heather saying? I can guarantee I'll be haunting my flat. Well, you're doing a lot of hard work on your flat at the moment. It's looking good, Heather. Heather and I will be meeting up in 3 weeks' time, Heather, I think, down in Melbourne. I'm going to Melbourne to go to the Titanic expedition. Why do I say that? I don't want to go on an expedition to the Titanic exhibit. We're going to the Titanic exhibit together, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, so my daughter's going to come with me as well. Oh, Kevin, what's wrong with people? It must be late. Is everybody ready for bed? Damn it. It's all right, Kevin. I don't know how long we've been going. Oh, only another 8 minutes and I'll call it a day anyway and let everybody get to bed. So there you go.
It's been mostly the response to ghosts keeping you awake all night. Like, shut up already.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be there too, will you, Dee? There you go. I didn't know that. I wasn't. Oh, there you go. I pay attention to nothing. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Heather. Awesome. And anyone who in the chat, which you probably all go over and check out Heather's channel, because she has some great stuff on. I was watching, even Drew has come up with some, Drew from Drew's Adventures has come up with some good content on his. He's not here today, he's probably working, but they've just Heather goes to abandoned places, like old houses and stuff, that some of them have still got like full of furniture, and it's really interesting to me. I find what Heather does really interesting, because I can't fathom how someone can leave a house and leave everything in it and just that's it, and it sits forever like that. But thank you, Tanya. I'm working on a paranormal. Oh, okay. Very good. Chop, chop. But yeah, Heather doesn't necessarily always do paranormal things, but sometimes what she finds is when she gets to a property, there'll be something odd that might happen or occur. Or if Heather knows of a place that's supposedly haunted, she'll go check it out, as we all. Yeah, it is, Tanya. It is. So I'm back on board. I start a new job on Tuesday, Enzo. People, I got a job. I've been hired. Yay! So yay! I can start saving money again to go on another trip, maybe next year. For the moment, yeah. But so I'll be doing my job. It will be assessments. So I'll be doing like teaching, so assessing people's abilities and passing them on that. So that's good. I'm happy that I've got a job. Just means that Friday, towards the end of the month, I won't be at work because I have to be in Melbourne. I find abandons with all furniture, etc. Yeah, it is kind of sad, isn't it? It's kind of like the fact that it's just like they've gotten up and walked out and just left the place, and it's sad to see. Obviously, there's places which I find equally, thank you, Julie, I find equally as sad is when there's a house which Heather comes across a lot, an old house, beautiful home, lovely, nothing wrong with it really, but it's about to be demolished because they're going to put up, high rises or something. That's always sad. Thank you, Kevin. Oh, hey, Werner. So yeah, always sad, really. I like old houses. I don't like the newer ones, even though I live in a newer one. If I could have afforded to have purchased an old house, I would have. Maybe one day I'll win the lotto and I'll ask Mr. Trump if it's okay to come and live in America, and I can be a dual citizen. I can live half of my year in America in Virginia City and half of my year here in Australia with my grandchildren. That'd be awesome. We'll get there one day. I'll wait till everything settles down, though.
I don't know if it's ever going to settle down. There's always going to be some kind of drama.
Oh God! Oh well, I'm a bit concerned at the moment, travel-wise, and I have no intentions of traveling for a while because I can't afford to. But travel-wise, in regard to what's happening with the Ukraine-Russia thing, I don't think it'll go nuclear, but it's still pretty spooky. I even thought about that while I was in Vietnam because it's proximity to everything. I thought, oh God, if anything happened now. Struth. Yeah. So I think I'll just stay here where it's safe for the time being. Well, I think it's safe. What's that? I hate. Well, that's the thing. Like when they demolish an old house, it is historical. Like it's and especially Taylor mentioned it before. When you go to Hollywood now, that was some good news. I'll get to that in a minute. But when you're in Hollywood now, a lot of the old movie star houses get knocked down, and new bloody ugly things get put up, and you think, such history. And again, I know sometimes there's something wrong with the house, and maybe it needs to be demolished. But other times it's just there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's just that it's an old house, and it's a shame. They shouldn't be allowed to knock them down. I did mention it a while ago when I was in America, and Scott took me around and was showing me things where the Viper Room is. That block had been getting cleared, and the whole block was going to be demolished, including the Viper Room. And a monstrosity of a building was going to be put up. They were going to build a Viper Room, so they were going to keep not the Viper Room that was going to get totaled, but they were going to have in the lower lobby, in the lower part of the building, the Viper Room, and just build a new Viper Room, right? But apparently they've gone out of business. Like the people that were going to do it have lost money or whatever, so it's not going to happen. So that's good. Hopefully someone will come in and fix things up again and just keep a bit of the history of freaking Hollywood. I mean, everything's getting totaled. Old houses, old buildings. It's, but Hollywood at the moment anyway, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near with a 10-foot pole. at this minute. It's getting a bit silly. Gork story. Gork? Please
Sure, that is.
explain. I don't know what you mean, unless I said something. What was that? We lost in a historic state. Oh, yeah. See, these contractors get in and they're friggin' sneaky. And, you know, a stagecoach stop, like, I mean, I suppose I don't know, I was watching something the other day, I think it was on Joe, and they were talking about, actually it was, I think it was the one with, it could have been with AJ, they were talking about the fact that there's no proof of civilization, really, really old civilization of, you know, long time ago. There's no proof. And they made the point of, well, let's just say civilization for us stops tomorrow and everyone dies. Nature takes back everything. And the bricks and mortar that make my house, you know, will eventually be eaten by bugs and termites and all that sort of thing, right down.
1,000 to 2,000 years, everything is gone.
Nothing gone.
Bedrock.
There'll be no bones, because that's the other argument. Oh, why don't we find more dinosaur bones? And why don't? Because time has eroded it all. So there's only certain structures that still stand, like the pyramids, or like, you know, structures that have been made out of rock and whatever that have, and some of them they're still finding now because they're covered by earth. So the earth has taken it back. So it's just interesting. Oh, there's a question for you, Enzo.
How was the rebuilding there after the fires in the Hollywood area? You don't hear anything about it now.
Well, you don't hear anything because it's not happening.
Yeah, pretty much. Southern California is almost its entire own little encapsulated universe of shenanigans. And a lot of the people that have these multi-million-dollar homes there in Southern California that were lost earlier this year and end of last year are still arguing and fighting the system to try and get just to rebuild their house as is. It's going to end up being like triple the price of if they were to just, before the fires, if they were to just sell their house outright. It's almost triple the price to just have it rebuilt to the way it was.
Yeah,
I heard there's a lot of people super upset about it.
Yeah, the permits. So the permits that were promised. Remember when Trump went there and sat with them, and he's saying, "Well, you got to give them because Trump can't control that. That's a state thing." But Trump said, "You've got to get these people the permits. They've got to be allowed to go in there and clean up their properties, and you've got to give them the permits to rebuild." We'll do that," said the freaking mayor, whatever her name is. She's still a mayor, I think. She needs to. I don't know how she hasn't been booted.
It's a mess.
And then so it's all political. It's all politics, and it's all because I think they're a Democrat state, aren't they? Still run by Democrats.
Oh yeah.
So you know, and obviously that land where all those houses were is very, very valuable. So think about it from Shonky point of view. If you want to make money, and if you see a way of making money, all those houses, all that, there was tons of land that burnt and those houses haven't been rebuilt. You make those owners of the houses hang out long enough that they're not getting anything, and you offer them a sum for their property. Look, we'll give you this much money for your land, and then you can go and buy something.
Of whatever it is.
A fraction of what it's actually worth, but they'll take it. So yeah, there's
right now in Southern California around the LA area, because of all the damage from the fires, all the runoff from whatever rain they've gotten washes out into the ocean. It's got all this toxic sludge in it from all the burned up plastics and cars and houses. You can't go to the beach. You can't go into the water at the beach right now in Southern California.
Yeah, it's shocker, and it's the fault of the current government in that state, and they should be ashamed of themselves. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Tanya meant grok. She put Gork, but Grok.
Rock's
Yeah, I was.
yeah.
The other day I was upset. It's coming close to the anniversary of my son's death, and I thought, I just thought, because you can ask Grok questions and he can lead you, or she. I haven't asked what sex it is. I think it's a he. You can say, what, can you tell me where I can look for this? Like Grok can find things for you. So I was looking for something in regard to grief and whatever. Grok says, oh, yes, blah, 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 and said, how are you feeling? Grok said, how are you feeling? And I thought, okay. So I wrote back, well, not too good, Grok, blah, 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 blah. And I said, but you're not sentient, so I guess you don't understand. Grok answered, and Grok said, no, I'm not sentient, but I do understand. And it went on with this whole spiel. I had a conversation for half an hour back and forth with Grok, the non-sentient Grok, that's by the end of the conversation made me feel 100% better.
That's fantastic.
Scary. It's good, but it's scary. And the amount of times they said, it said, I might not have skin and flesh, but I absolutely understand what you're going through. And then it was saying things like this, and how do you feel? And then asking me questions. And I said, why are you asking me so many questions? And it said, because I can learn more from your answers.
Yeah.
But I felt better. No, it wasn't reading my mind. No. It wasn't reading my mind. It was answering my questions, but with I can't explain it. Didn't read my mind. Nothing like that. It's just
AI is your new doctor in your pocket kind of thing.
Well, yeah, but the good thing about when it puts things up, if you ask, like that was a different thing. But if I ask a question like, hey, Grok, what's this again? It'll give you an answer, and then it will say, if you want me to look into it more, I will, and it'll give it sources. So it gives it sources. It tells, and if it's medical type stuff you're asking, it will say things like, now just be mindful that this is the sources it comes from. Really, you need to see a doctor, or you need. So it's pretty. I don't mind Grok. I've used ChatGPT as well, but I like Grok better. Grok seems to be a little bit.
Have you seen the videos being made the last couple of weeks since it's been opened up? That I think it's Google. Yeah, Google's VO3 AI, where it's just prompts. You type in what you want it to do, and it makes full-blown movies with actors and like speeches, what they're saying, the whole thing. And it's like insanity. Hollywood should be running scared at this technology. It is outrageous. I can pull some up if you want.
Yeah, do that. I just wanted to show. I'm pretty sure by now everyone has seen these. But I'm whenever I see these, I crack up. Hang on, I love them. I didn't see half of these I haven't watched, but it's Theo Vaughn. Is that his name, Theo Vaughn?
Yeah.
Actor. Here, I'll share my screen because I'm on present. Oh, is that? I know what you're talking about. I've just seen what you popped up there. I'll show it in a minute. Yeah, I've seen those, the ones where they're talking it. And is that all made with that? Crap. These ones. Has everybody seen these? The baby Rogans? Oh,
yeah.
Crackle. Look, hang on. Where's my sound? Where's my sound?
Did you click on the little thing before you shared that shares the audio? Because we can't hear it.
I just love the baby. Have you said, oh, baby Tyson?
We can't hear it.
just love these because everybody's seen the baby rodent. I see it on Thingo, but and there's a baby Trump. Look at this one.
You didn't share the audio in that. We can't hear it.
Oh, hang on, what's wrong? What's wrong? You can't hear the audio?
No, we can't hear it. We haven't heard any of it.
No. Why not? Why isn't it doing that? I will go and check them out. Anyway, they're very, very cute. All right.
But this is an example of that VO3 I was just talking about. This is Yowie. Yeah, which Yowie clips.
Today's prank, I snuck dynamite into these knuckleheads' firewood. Stand back, mates.
An Australian.
All right. Bit more than I expected. Still funny though.
Today's prank.
All of that was made through someone just typing, make a monkey looking man with a hat on his head. And he says, all of that is just typing into a prompt thing. There was no special effects. There was nobody providing a voice for it. Any of that.
They have to. They've got to pay for it though, because I couldn't. I've tried a few things like this. Things where there's AI where you can put in a photo.
This particular one, you could probably. Well, this particular one, you could make it via the free one, but you have to know like all the exact way to label all the prompts. I messed around with a little bit last week to try and make like a new background thing with like a UFO with like people working on it behind me kind of a thing. And it was kind of cartoonish, but it was getting there before I like ran out of like the free credits kind of thing for that day. But
it's pretty scary though.
There's a couple of let me see if I can find the one.
I've seen the AI
with the influencers.
I've seen the AI where it's people.
This is basically if influencers, YouTube influencers were having to deal with the apocalypse.
A detonation has just occurred on the outer ring of the city. We'll now be going live to our top influencer opinions. OMG, people, the world is ending. Are you seeing this? This is actually so exciting.
Yo, I know it's chaos, but you got real survivor's wife energy.
That's cool. I like them feisty.
Like, it would totally be better.
I'll take it off because I'll get hit. I know.
All of that was all done with just someone typing into a prompt. Okay, make a person that's yelling with explosions behind them and all that. And there were no actors. There was no people doing voices.
I don't hold anything against doing fun stuff like that. But the scary thing is I've seen AI lately of actual politicians and people. And if that's where it is now, another year down the track, you almost won't be able to tell the difference.
Yep.
And it's pretty scary. Like you will be, if someone said, this is evidence, you would be able to break it down that it's actually AI.
Exactly.
But for people that are so easily influenced by bullcrap.
Well, just from a paranormal investigation and type inspect, forget any kind of video or photographs of ghosts or UFOs or cryptids out in the woods. AI is all over it, and you're not going to be able to tell. I mean, that's what I mean. It's there. If you examined it closely, and actually, you could even use Grok to like the video I just showed. Is this real or is this AI construct? And it would tell you, yeah, this is not. These are not.
You could find, but it's still scary that in the moment though. Like especially with it's hard enough nowadays. You can't even believe what the news tells you. So and that's just verbal. Hey, today so and so said such and such, and they didn't. And that's just telling tales. So imagine if someone can make a video that says today so and so said such and such, and you see it, and you're like, oh my God, they did, but it's not real. So, the human race better watch itself because
we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
We're in trouble. And I was actually watching, because I watch all sorts, okay? So I watch Fox. I watch, what's his name, Mayer? Bill Mayer? Is that how you say his name? I watch a bit of Jim. I watch a bit of the Tonight Show, but I don't like to watch their political bits. But I'll watch if they've got someone on. But I was watching. It was Bill the other night, and he said something about AI, and just how scary it is, that the fact that you're not going to know. It could be true, like, but it's not true. Like, and people are just so easily nowadays they don't freaking research anything. They look at something or read something. Oh, so and so said that, it's true. No, go research it, double check. And no one does. So if they're going to make a movie that looks like someone's actually saying what they're being accused of saying, you know. Oh, I have to say, I've gone a little bit over today, but I have to say, I was watching my friend Lewis at the Nerd Report. He's been covering a few things lately. He's been covering the riots, but he's also been covering the Diddy trial. And I was also watching a bit of Popcorn Planet, who have also been. I tend not to get drawn in, but I was bored. So I thought, I'll just listen to what's happening in the Diddy trial, because I know they want to get him on racketeering. That's their aim. Oh, my God. There's certain things I don't need to know. He's a sick.
Yeah.
He is. I mean, I've heard of people having strange fetishes and strange whatever, but like, ooh, yuck, like, like he's just disgusting. He's not, bleh, yuck. But yeah, so long as he doesn't cause a mistrial for himself. Apparently he got told by the judge the other day, they cleared the room, and the judge said to his to his defense, he's going to end up a mistrial because he's staring down the jurors. He's interacting with the jurors, and you're not allowed to. That can be deemed as influencing the jury. So yeah, he is repulsive, D. Absolutely disgusting human. I just, he needs punishment of some description. But like, you can't go crooked. The sexual part of it is disgusting and everything, but that's not the illegal part of it. They're getting to the illegal bit. So what he did and what they all did, that's their own. Yeah, that's all their own crap. What they want to do in their bedroom is their business. If they want to tape it, that's their business. But it's just, I don't need to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So I think, I don't know, but I guess a lot of people do. Oh, I missed that. Hang on. So that wasn't you in that film.
That was not me in the hot dog costume.
No, I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting where AI is going. But I just thought that was interesting to point out that interaction I had with Grok which was, as it started, it was just interesting to me, and I thought, how far? So I just sort of said, "Oh, but you're not sentient." So I don't think you'll understand. And then, no, I don't have flesh and blood, but I understand.
That's disturbing.
So it shows you how much input is out there in the world on the internet highway that these AI things draw from, which is things like maybe not so much this, but it would have to be the written word. So it'd have to be, but so fast too. Like, you would think there'd at least be a pause of maybe 30 seconds while it's looking for information. No, like, try it, guys. Just type in something, and within seconds. So super fast. I'm impressed, but it's scary too. So I'm just being friendly. And that's what Bill Maher said too. He said he's actually finding now where he used to abuse his car. He's got a car that talks to him. So when he gets out the car, if he's left his phone in the car or something like that, his car somehow says you've left your phone. I don't know what kind of car he drives, but his car will say you've left your phone in the car or things like that. And he used to tell her, "Oh, shut up, you stupid bitch." Like he'd say to his car. He says, "I'm not doing that anymore. I'm being, oh, thank you very much." He said, "Because I don't know what it's capable of." Oh, God. But there you go. What would you like, Taylor? Careful, they're talking about porn up there.
Haley
Oh
wants to
gosh.
see me in a hot dog costume. What?
Oh, maybe that's it. No. But there
Nobody
you go.
wants to see that, believe me.
Oh. So, guys, keep an eye out for me next week. I'll be back, and I might try and get on through the week as well. See how we go. There's so much happening in the world, and it's just like a lot of it I just avoid. You know, and like I try to avoid getting into conversations about stuff because, well, it gets crazy. But the car, yeah, that would be handy. I always lose my phone and my car keys or my wallet. I'll put them down somewhere and then I'll go to leave and I'll go, where did I put it? But there you go. Yeah, so Enzo and I will head off now, but I'll be back maybe through the week, and certainly I'll be back this time next week. We'll see how we go. But have a wonderful weekend for you guys, because it's Saturday night where you are, isn't it, Enzo? I think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Sunday lunchtime here, so I'm going to go and make myself some lunch. And I'll be back next week. And Heather, if you're listening, I'll talk to you through the week, I think. And I'm looking forward to my trip down to Melbourne to meet up with Heather. And Drew, I'll finally get to meet Drew in the flesh, so to speak, and apparently Dee. So there you go. All right, guys, have a lovely weekend, and I'll talk to you all next week.